record in the two places I do a redundant recording in. There we go. All right. It's going to start. If I can have the right tab up. Play retro. There it is. All right. In 3, 2, 1. 大盗賊ジッポの盗みにより世界はまた闇に追われようとしていた。Tactical Battle Story Shining Force 2 from Mega Drive. Sega! Wow.
We got this guy.
He's
Shining
great.
Force 2.
Tactical battle game. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Play Retro. That's right. This is Play Retro. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and it's time to get into what Sega tried to do with turn-based combat. While Nintendo and Square were eating your lunch with Final Fantasy, guess what? This shit might be better. But then it stopped. What gives? Here's my modern take on these games. 'Tis a shy game, really. Get your swords ready!
Your swords.
Swords.
What do you like? Are you? No, I like swords better because it makes me think you're the Highlander.
That's
hey.
right.
And I'm your other healer, Brian Dunaway, and I can't say that I totally understand why the king and all the king's men have placed the fate of humanity in my tiny 16-bit hands. But I promise to use the power of this sword and the frequent use of egress to grind the hell out of this problem and vanquish old evil. What's his face? Back to the darkness from which he sprung. Fight the slime. I mean, ooze.
Ooze.
These are not slimes, they're ooze.
Yeah.
Gross.
Gross. Very gross.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
You're thinking of another game.
Yeah, you're thinking of the whole other series by a better, perhaps a more resilient developer. Let's put it that way. We are talking today all about Shining Force 1 and 2 for the Genesis / Mega Drive, which we will talk about lovingly when we get to it because I think we're both fans.
I think, well, we are now. Some of us never played it back in the day, but
That's true.
Boy, I learned a lot about the Shining Force and the Shining Force series, or the Shining series in general, or the Shining.
That's the question? Is it just the Shining series? Is that how they refer to it in short, or do we?
Of course.
Okay.
Well, we're only going to talk about the Shining Force, which is a very specific subset of the Shining series, because we're going to be looking at the SRGPs, RPGs, yes, strategy role-playing games.
Yeah.
Making sure I got my letters right.
Yep.
And we're going to talk at those, but there are tons others, and boy, did people want to tell me about them this week, because there are a lot of lovers of the Shining series.
Yes, there is.
Shining.
There's the Shining 1 and 2.
Shining.
Shining Force 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Before we get to that, though, a little bit of retro for the week. I had COVID all week.
No.
Just coming out of it.
That's a throwback. COVID's not retro just yet.
Not
2019.
yet.
We still got some years.
Yeah, we got some years. What year will that be? 2039? No.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, 2039. That sounds right.
Yeah, that is right. Is that
Words 29. I don't know. Something
like that. I can't do the math on it.
You got COVID. You get COVID brain.
COVID sucks, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: people are like, "Oh, it's this at this stage, just like a flu." Yeah, but it's also weird. It's weird the way it behaves. Even though I didn't even have that hardcore of a case. My 2022 run was way worse. This was much milder, but it's weird. It makes you dream things you never dream in any other kind of illnesses. It has like a funky effect on simple stuff like I need to bend over and pick up that toy before I step on it. Stand up, I'm going to faint and die right here. Like it really sucks.
The flu. It's like this. So a lot of diseases are described as or illnesses are described like this. You may experience flu-like symptoms, and guess what COVID does? COVID's like, yeah, you may experience some COVID-like symptoms, which may include any of the following: pooping your pants, falling over, just things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, it sucks.
Bad stuff.
Sucks ass. Not a fan. So
the flu
off.
is the flu is more easily categorized. Thank you, flu, for being predictable.
Yeah, thank you for being a little bit more predictable. This thing just sucked.
Yeah.
So what did I do? I spent a lot of time in bed, a lot of resting, a lot of couch time, avoiding other people, and playing a lot of Ambernick things. So
growing up, couch time was my favorite. Like it's like, I need
it's the
some
best.
couch time.
Oh, it's the best, and especially if you're homesick from school, whether it was real or not. I'd be on that couch. I even had some Transformers going this week on TV, Gen 1, old cartoon. Yep, got in the mood because the core guys were talking about it. And that new movie's coming out, so I was excited about it. I hear it's good, by the way. A lot of good reviews.
Yeah, it just came out, didn't this past weekend? Was it Prime or whatever it was?
Transformers 1, I believe it's called.
One.
Let me just double check the current score. It is sitting pretty at 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, 98% audience. That's pretty strong.
You know what this means to me?
That means the highest rated Transformers movie ever is what that means.
Right. And it proves that going in that more simplified manner is going to bring us a GoBots movie. I can feel it.
Well, you might be right. I don't know. That new Wild Robot movie also looks good, and that's getting good reviews. But anyway, so I was in the mood, so I did that, and I played a ton on my Amernix SP. But here's the funny thing about kind of brain fog COVID time. I barely remember what I played. I was just like, there was some Batman involved at one point. I think I may have played a few worlds in
I think we should
Mario 4 or wait no, Mario Advance 4, which is actually Super Mario Brothers 3, but it was remastered for the GBA. Right. I played a bunch of that, I can tell you that. The rest of it is just a blur. I don't remember what I did.
There's a very specific games I play when I'm sick, and it typically involves anything that does not require me to think very much. It has to be repetitive pattern stuff for me to be able to play it when I'm sick.
Yeah, there is something about that, right? I couldn't play. I tried to sit down. I told this on Core. I'll tell it again because it's pretty funny. I like big automation games. Satisfactory.
You heard it. Scott loves big automation.
That's things. Right. Factorio, those kind of games. I love those.
Oh yeah.
And I've been playing this game called Shapes 2, which is fantastic, and it's very similar.
That's a fun game.
I sat down to play that, and I immediately turned it off because I realized I can't do this like this.
No,
worthless.
This
brain.
requires me to think about 3 moves ahead, and I can barely think about this move ahead.
Yeah, so I just spent a lot. If I was in front of my PC, I was spending a lot of time flying around doing herbs and mining, gathering in World of Warcraft, and that was good enough for me. Brain dead activity like that. Anyway, Brian, what'd you get up to?
Hey, you know what? It's been a while since I've been to the thrift stores, mainly because I'm running out of room. So I went over to the thrift store.
You're always in the thrift store. What do you mean been a while? You're always in there, aren't you?
I haven't. I was visiting like 2 or 3 times a week, and now I'm like picking. I'm like, I only went once this week, but when I did go, I found this Star Trek 25th anniversary. Over 2,500 of these sold. Whatever. Anyway, it was like $5. It was Star Trek, and I was like, "Oh, it's got all digitized speech. Sign me up." This is the CD inside.
This is the game, or this is the TV show? What is this I'm looking at?
This is Star Trek: The Original Series, 25th anniversary, featuring the voices of William Shatner. I didn't know what the hell it was,
but it the animation, the animated show.
What they call it is a cinematic multimedia. So it's probably mostly just, hey, look at this. Oh, I'm looking at the back. It actually looks like a game. I actually might be interested in this. I didn't do much research about it.
You know what it's probably like? It's probably like what was Microsoft? It was Encarta, but for Star Trek. I bet that's what this is.
Yeah, that was very popular during that time. It's like, well, we want to do a multimedia. Well, show everybody stuff. Yeah. Captain Kirk and Spock will talk you through the ultimate warp speed space odyssey. So strap yourself securely in your seat. But I was almost immediately forgotten about this after I got in the car and opened it up. It's like, oh, I didn't check to see if the disc was there. Disc was. But what I found instead was like this. I'm like, why are these floppy disks in here? And what the crap is Software Labs?
Floppy disks.
Floppy disks, some little floppy disk. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it says movies to go. I'm like, oh, bonus software, movies to go, disc 1, 2, and 3. And I shared with Scott after I did this. I'm like, what the hell is this? So I went to archive.org, started looking. There used to be a catalog. What would you say? Like, where you would order something over the phone, Scott. You would get this catalog in the mail, and it would have a bunch of shareware.
Okay.
And then you could choose what you wanted. And for $3.95, they would send you software on disk, floppy disk, and then you could install it. And they were always typically full versions of the software. And then
like,
if you
what
liked
software? Is it something Interplay made or something else?
Oh, everything, just anything. Mostly it was because during this time, the early 90s, 92, 3,
Dark
95.
Dark time.
Right. Yeah. It was actually a great time. Places, like id Software was distributing. They proved the concept of how successful shareware could be.
It helps if you have amazing game like Doom to pass around with everybody. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So that spawned this whole thing where, almost more than 100 pages worth of any type of software you can imagine. This company, the Software Labs, would for $3.95 would ship you out some CDs with that software that is shareware, and you could get it in 4 to 6 weeks, I suppose. But this one was interesting because this one was called Movies to Go, and it was essentially a an IMDb for floppy disk. So you could you would be able to look up, like if you were wanting to watch Dances with the Wolves, you could look it up in here and it would tell you all about Dances with Wolves, and it would give you information like who was in the movie and what to expect. Like, should you expect some nudity? Yes, you should. And then in parentheses it said Kevin Costner, so you would know that nudity was no good. No good, Scott.
You knew that it
was Kevin Costner's booty.
You knew it was his bum, and you don't want that.
Right.
You don't want his bum.
What was it? Was he coming out of a tub or something? I can't remember. Anyway, I had completely forgot about mail order catalog kind of things and shareware, and just what an exciting time it would have been to go from almost no software for your PC, except for very few premium things you purchased, to a glut of a catalog that just for $3.95.
Yeah.
You could order it up. You could order it up and get it in and make that decision.
Damn.
I need to pay this developer more money?
You really do. Like,
yeah.
I can't believe. I mean, Shareware was a weird thing. It was a weird early like distribution model that obviously didn't last. But while it was hot, oh man, it was a.
But it shifted the idea. At least for me personally, it shifted the idea from a handful of pieces of software that you would use for your computer and kind of limiting what you may use your computer for to the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
I can put anything on here with very little investment to see if it's something that I would like to add to my computer. And just suddenly, all of a sudden, you found all these uses for the computer that were no longer just theory. You could actually put it to practice and see if it was something you could do. And now we got
my brother-in-law was trying to come up with a business that did shareware distribution, something. He was getting investors. We went to Vegas to meet with an investor. It's like this whole thing we were getting involved in. Here's the problem, though. I mean, we were all really into it, getting Apogee discs and, especially with games and stuff. We were so into it. But we were thinking there needs to be like a storefront for this or something.
Yes.
And I think he was right in the short term. But we get out there to meet with this investor, and in my head the whole time there's a voice going, this is temporary. This will not be the thing moving forward. We are inches away from a completely different model. And sure enough, it would have crapped out completely had we gone forward with it. We never did. But
you don't want to be.
It wasn't his fault. We all thought it was a great idea at the time. It was just this feeling of like, this is happening so much right now. We are so excited about this. Little did we know the internet was about to just tear it away. Literally rip that whole thing apart. It's a little like being, Blockbuster and not seeing the writing on the wall for their problem. It's like
Netflix.
Yeah, I know, right?
Come on,
they blew that
People
off.
Will never do that. This is an establishment. We will be here forever. Oh, where we're going?
Yeah, what's going on? Where are people going to buy their Red Vines and their Orville Redenbacher packet while they're here?
They can't replace our excellent customer service.
No.
Did you rewind this, sir? $2.
$2. Great customer service. It's good stuff. Right. Anyway, well, there's what we all got up to. It's time for us to talk about our big topic this week, and that is a throwback to a Genesis love affair of mine.
Ooh.
And we'll talk about it now.
Shall we play a game?
If you've never heard of it, let me tell you a little bit about Shining Force, The Legacy of the Gods, or Shining Force 2, no : subtitle. On that second one.
Or Shining Force 1, also known as The Legacy of Great Intention, or just Shining Force.
Or just Shining Force is how I knew it. And when you fired it up, you'd hear this. Typical Genesis bullshit at the beginning,
Yeah, but it sucks you in, man.
Listen to that.
It sucks you in.
I mean, whatever. I love Genesis sound.
I know you're marching right along, right? You're going on an adventure.
Now, here's the thing. Over there on Nintendo, you had your Final Fantasy turn-based combat games. You had arguably the most influential here actually is the I can't think of the name now. What are the ones they're still making them today? No, not tactical. Well, it's tactical, but what's the name of the game? Fire Emblem. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh yeah, Fire Emblem. Absolutely, yes.
Fire Emblem is definitely
Shining Force.
Yeah, they're definitely closer cousins than Final Fantasy, the straight up RPG. But This was a game I played at a friend's house first and went, ooh, I need that. And went and bought it because I liked it so much. And I got way into it back in the day. And then about 5 months ago, this is all I was playing on my Ambernick.
Oh,
got
really?
all hooked up again. Yeah, just super into it. I couldn't stop. And basically, it captured everything I loved about the Fire Emblem games and what I like about turn-based combat, and did it in just such a neat little package. It was graphically interesting, and I thought the combat was really good. Some of the scenarios take way long to do.
Yes.
Way long. Back then, we were like, just play for hours. We don't care. Do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm. I hope you like grinding a little bit, because you'll be grinding a little bit to try to get that XP, baby.
Yeah, if you're a grinder, you're going to love this thing, because some of it you're going to need. But there's plenty of story, and there's some traditional RPG elements. We're talking the 1992 title Shining Force 1. You guide Max. I swear every character's name in video games is Max at one point.
It really is. And that's only if you decide. So this game, and I recommend this, if this is your first playthrough of this game, I recommend not choosing the name, even though the game gives you the option to choose a name, because it gets confusing if you get to the later ones and it starts talking about previous characters like Max, and you're like, who the is Max?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, the default character name. I got you.
Yeah, you can change it.
Yeah,
I never did.
Yeah, I definitely changed it by mistake, and I was like, I should change it. And like I said, once I got a 2, and it was like, oh, I should use the default, and it was like Bowie, and then they started talking about Max, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a little like when you're not Link in one of the Zelda games, you can change your name to something else. Back in the day, though, they didn't do any kind of censorship on what you would put. So I love doing this now. I'll go find old games like this, and it'll say, what's your name? And the default will be whoever, Link, whatever. And you put in like, boob farter or something, and it works. It's like
boob squeeze.
These days, boob squeeze. These days, you'll often get a warning. We can't use that, or that's against policy, or whatever. Back in the day, they weren't thinking about that. It's like penis tree, and then suddenly the rest of the game. Oh, penis tree, save the village from the orcs.
And I want to say it was also like limited to 5 characters this first time around. And I know that a lot of times, from experience now, what we've gone through so many retro video games, sometimes the name is a cheat code to allow you to do cheaty things. I didn't look to see this week, because this game is like a 20 plus, 30 plus hour game if you want to get through all the story.
Yeah.
It's beefy.
It's very beefy. Too beefy, if I'm honest. I like it as much as I have really fond feelings for it. I think 1 in particular is a little too padded out and grindy. The second one fixes a bunch of that. But here's the biggest problem, and I know we'll talk about this later. I just want to say it early. This is a game with enormous potential as a series that should still be happening today. There should be me at a Games Fest or something, and them announcing on stage, this Shining Force 12 or something. That should be happening. It happens with Final Fantasy. It happens with other beloved JRPGs. Fire Emblem is a tactical game. All these things keep getting updates, new versions, whatever. Not this, and I don't get it. Unless you owned a Dreamcast or Saturn, was it? Where you could buy
Saturn. You could the games continued into Saturn. It was on the Sega CD. There was, and if you want to go with the Shining series itself, there's like 30 titles, and recently as PlayStation 4 got a Blade Arcus Rebellion from Shining. 2022 saw a Shining Force Heroes of Light and Darkness. I think that was an iOS thing. So there's things there, but it's not given the reverence and respect that a lot of his other contemporaries would have been. Yeah, which is a shame.
I looked up a ranking. Would you like to know the worst to best or best to worst? I'll tell you the best.
Yeah.
According
give me one.
According to thegamer.com, they say that Shining Force 2 is the best one, and I agree with them. I think
that's what most people say. Agreed.
Shining Force 3 is in second place. This was it was released on the ill-fated Saturn in 98. I don't think it made it to the States, did it? I don't think it did.
Yes, it did. Shining Force 3 made it to the States, but only as scenario 1. There was 3 scenarios. Right. Japan got all 3. We only got the first one, and we didn't know any different because they made it look like beginning, middle, and end for the scenario 1. It was like, okay, cool.
Yeah. This one, Shining Force Resurrection of the Dark Dragoon or Dragon, that was Camelot making a remake for the GBA. So it's not even a new game per se. It's kind of a half-assed remake. It's not that great. It's okay.
Right.
Shining Force is at 4th. That's the first game. At 5th, we have Shining Force CD, which is the Sega CD one you mentioned. That was a compilation of the first 2 games, I believe, right?
I believe it is, and maybe some extra stuff in there too, but yes, for the most part.
That might be a fun one to crack open.
Yes, and it actually Shining Force CD also covers the Shining Force Gaiden 1 and 2, I think is what it actually covers, which is Gaiden was the Game Gear games that happened in between. And there's actually a pretty interesting story. It's if you're going to play it chronologically to understand what's going on in the story, you probably want to start with Shining Force 1 and then do Gaiden, because while they were developing 2, they crammed in Gaiden.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot to eat.
Now, if you had a PlayStation, you might have played Shining Force EXA. I don't know what the acronym stands for, but a lot of stalwart fans didn't like it. Most people think it's an okay game. It's just not very Shining Force. A lot of real-time stuff going on. And that was all right, I guess. That was at number 6 on this list. At number 7, Shining Force, The Sword of Haya. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I didn't check that one out at all.
Game Gear game, not recommended by most. Shining Force Feather. This came out it's a side-scrolling hack and slash, so no one likes this.
No one wanted that. Nobody asked for that.
PS2 had a game called Shining Force Neo. This was a shocker, since this was the first Shining Force game to abandon the series strategy RPG roots. So it's straight up just walk around, hack and slash. Not great. Shining Force Cross. I think this might be the one. Oh, it never left Japan, but it's also considered the 10th worst game. It's at the top of the bad ones.
It's on down there.
Oh, it's an arcade game. Never saw a port to a console. So that sucks. Meanwhile, Square and Enix, and then Square Enix, and then everybody else and their dogs are all pumping out their IPs for years and years and years, all the way up to this day. And what am I doing? Going, where's my Shining Force on the freaking PC, PlayStation 5, or Xbox Series X? Where is it? It doesn't exist. F off, you guys. But it's okay, because we have 1 and 2, which are the 2 best games in the series, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also, someone was very adamant in my feeds this week while I was playing through 1 and 2 that I give it at least a test of the Shining the Holy Ark. Was that listed at all?
No, not in that list, but it might be worse than all of them. So maybe that's why it's not in there. I don't know.
How about this? I can't say because I didn't play it all the way through, but I will say that it is the trippiest. If you want to have a tripping time, play Shining the Holy Ark. As we know, the Saturn was not a 3D first platform, even though it could do 3D. It was mostly more about fighting games at that time, right? Inside, doing that kind of stuff. But this did have some 3D elements to it, and it is trippy, and very similar to Shining in the Darkness, which is actually the RPG that started it all. It's really a dungeon crawler RPG that you probably wouldn't recognize as Shining Force. I mean, it's there, but there's just it's not like we're thinking Shining Force 1 and 2.
But 1 and 2, like if you look at the reviews for 2 alone, Player 1 gave it a 94, Mega gave it a 92, Mega Force gave it a 95, Sega Pro 93, all in the 90s, nobody lower. Game Informer 9 out of 10. Like, how do you squander that? You got a hit on your hands.
Yeah.
I know it's Sega once again with their we wouldn't recognize a successful moment if it bit us in the chotch. You know what I mean? Like they always have these stories about them having an opportunity and then just blowing it.
And it was such a weird place to be because Shining Force was really spawned because it's like, the Mega Drive not doing great in Japan. And the reason why is we don't have the titles that the Japanese people are looking for, which are the RPGs. And so let's get that in there. But then Shining Force did really well in the US. And so, it's like, we've had some success and we don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
And so they didn't.
They didn't know how to deal with it. And also, to be honest, nobody quite knew what to do with Japanese games at this stage. They were huge over there, obviously, and had a big following here, but they didn't know how to market them. The translation was often wonky. Stories would change. Art would change. Like they just weren't confident in it. Today's very different, right? Like we wouldn't even worry about that stuff today. But back then they were weird about it. So I guess I don't blame them. It's just Sega was just always like, yeah, but what's the next Sonic? It's like, there really isn't one. Just, enjoy your small stuff as much as your big stuff, you weirdos.
Yeah, you bunch of weirdos.
I get mad at them.
But I do too, which is funny because you know what? They've already been punished enough because they really got punished for the things they chose to do. So it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's
Shining
fine. But
Force
we
2
told
is
you-
a video I'm showing right now, and that only came out, what, 2 years or 1 year after? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's like the next year. They recognized they were doing pretty good. So they did like release the second one, which is good because hey, why not? If you're hitting something, let's keep on going with the story.
Yeah.
Right? It's basically the same game engine. It's a little prettier.
Better animations, sprite animations better, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're actually watching some scenes right here from the intro. This Shining Force 2 jumps right into the action. And do you remember the Barbarians?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember these guys? Don't talk about the twins
Yeah, the two
from the
guy-
80s action films and stuff.
Yeah. They're great.
So it's a really different take. You start off, you're watching some stories about a rat who's a Robin Hood rat, apparently. There's going to be a few, we're going to spoil just a few of the story points that happen in like what you could consider chapter 1.
They're pretty silly
these
anyway.
games.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some deeper stories and stuff. We won't get into that stuff. But yeah, at the very beginning, there's this rat and he causes all kinds of mayhem and he kicks off the primary problem in this game that you need to resolve, which is that you've released the darkness.
Yep.
Because all this happens 1,000 years, mostly for the most part, 1,000 years after the great last war for the good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And this king's sad though. He has no light. Remember that part? That whole bit with the king? He's kind of a puss, this king.
It really went darker. I mean, the second one went darker, and he's a puss for a reason because look at him. He looks like sad Santa.
He really is sad Santa, dude. Big time.
He's apparently weak-willed too because, man, I think they might have saw some Lord of the Rings stuff here because this guy gets possessed right away, right? And then you got a wizard who comes in, who's the teacher.
He's basically worm tongue and tricks the king.
And so he leads both of these are basically wrapped around the idea that the young people coming up are going to be commissioned by the king to do what none of the older people can do, which is to be sneaky and get into places and fight the evil that is upon the land, right? Yep. Which is what you want because you're selling these mostly to young people who want to be the heroes. And I think that's one of the things that appealed probably to a lot of people back then.
Don't you think we'd have seen a very different trajectory for Sega had they become a leader in this space, even if it wasn't the most popular on the street thing at the time? They would have established some groundwork for the potential, for the future of that company that would have made them stand out. Because as it was, that became Nintendo's purview, not because of any other reason. It wasn't the console doing it. It was developers choosing a platform and then focusing on it, and Nintendo happily publishing those things in multiple regions. And that's what established them as the place for the really in-depth JRPGs. This is a place if Sega was really hungry for Nintendo blood, they could have gone after it, man.
I think we've just looking back on things. I think it's a lot easier for us to see that the real problem was the success of the North American team to be able to market and break into the U.S. market for the Sega Genesis. And as a result, they were able to basically have almost equal powers in Japan and here in North America from a marketing team versus, a lot of development going on in Japan. And other companies didn't have that necessarily. Most of the rest of the Japanese company that were, trying to sell to America was Nintendo. And, they just sold to the American people. They didn't have like people fighting back and forth. So that back and forth fighting between the, the North American and the Japanese departments of Sega just really caused a lot of problems.
Yep.
Trying to figure out who's right.
Bunch of issues. And it really shot themselves in the foot.
Right.
Trying to figure
But they had a lot
out.
of success in North America, man, for the Genesis. And they just could not find a way. They really should have just split off probably. They should have said, leave us alone.
You know what's
away.
ironic though? Nintendo, not Nintendo, but Sega,
Sony?
now one of the great publishers of modern strategy games at the moment. So they've got the Total War series, they've got the Warhammer Total War series, they have all of those military ones. I forgot the name of them. Friends in the Bunker, whatever it is.
Friends in the Bunker.
I can't think of the name of it. But they got a bunch of strategy titles that are like amazing. Some of the best stuff out there, real time and turn based stuff.
Right.
And yet, that's just public. I don't know. It's what a weird, twisted thing. And every time I talk about those guys, we bring it up on the show, or I talk about it otherwise.
Yeah.
It just makes me mad.
Right. It
what
does
could have
because,
been?
We grew up, and I grew up specifically. I'm not sure how Scott necessarily grew up this part of it, but I was Sega all the way. I was, Team Sega.
I was
had
NES. I
appreciation
was
for
NES until the Genesis came along, and then I
Right.
converted hard. Like I was like, I used to be Jewish, but now I'm Catholic, kind of thing. Like really went all in, on my new religion,
Right.
my new gaming religion, and Sega was all I cared about for a while, and then.
And the thing is also another part of my gaming at this time was I was not playing any role-playing games on the Sega at all. And getting a chance to go back and play, I've played so many role-playing games this past year and last 2 years since we've been doing Play Retro. And I've found such a passion for this. And I hate that I missed Shining Force from the very beginning. It really speaks to me now. And I put in, usually I stop after about 4 or 5 hours in most of these games. I'm just like, okay, I have enough information on how the game plays. Now I need to find out, the interviews, find out what the developers were thinking when they were making it.
Most of them you can beat in about that time anyway. 3 or 4 hours,
right.
You can kill them. Yeah.
Yeah. But, this one's a much longer one. And
Way
I
bigger.
just could not stop snacking. I kept coming back just to snack a little bit. It's like, I need to go back and just play, even though I wasn't making any progress. It reminds me of games like World of Warcraft, where it's like, I'll get totally invested and I'll play and play and play. And then about a month later, I'll look back and go, what have I done? What have I really done?
Can you really
Not a damn thing.
What can I
What
show for all
stories-
my effort?
Right. What story nuggets have I really revealed?
Yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
Nothing. I mean, I'm still just as far from the end as I was. There's nothing, nothing revolutionary about what I've learned about the bad guys. They're still the bad guys. Is my character, significantly more powerful than he was before? I mean, yeah, but not really.
Is he significantly trapped in a ravine in a dungeon that you can't get out of? Is the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I found about this game, and I'm sure you'll probably go, oh yeah, Fire Emblem does this. A million other games did this. But the thing that spoke to me this week on this game is instead of 4, because every game I've played before is usually three members in a group of your party of adventurers. And this is literally a force. You can have multiple of certain classes out there fighting. So you may have multiple healers. You may have, multiple long range characters, rangers and the such, and archers. And I found that way more intriguing because I no longer had to worry when I was in a battle. I wasn't as reserved as I am in other games because, if I lose one of my healers, it's all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's other methods by which in this force of, like 4, 5, 6 characters at any one point in time. There's not like a number of slots that I saw. I'm not saying they weren't there, but I don't know what the maximum number is, but I do know that I never felt like, I can't add anybody else to my party because I never got that far. But I was running around with like 6 people in my force, 7 people in my force, easy. Picking up people. Yeah. And it makes it interesting.
It does.
It's like, I can put a healer in the middle of like 4 of the characters. So that healer because they only can usually heal like 1 block away. Right.
Right.
And so I'll got formations that I'm using now. I didn't really feel like I've used formations in any other games because what did it matter? I've got 3 or 4 characters. What's the formation?
Yeah. This one plays
Square.
like, there are examples of where other games like what's the one we did? The Advance War games are very much like that, right?
Yes.
So this follows those rules, and I think that's why it spoke to me more than traditional JRPGs because those tend to be, I ran into a random group, and now we're just going to spread out, and off we do our abilities, and I'm running out of MP, and you're running out of HP, and blah blah blah. You just have that fight. This thing was more like where I stand matters.
Yes.
Where I move matters. So the Fire Emblem part kicks in, right? And the Fire Emblem games are beloved. I love them. I'm with people who think they're the greatest. But
you have to play them.
Yes, you have to.
They're on my list.
Yeah, they're great. But this thing is the closest you come to that on a platform that isn't Nintendo's stupid platform. Not stupid.
Right.
I'm not even mad at Nintendo for this. I'm mad at Sega for not taking advantage. That's all.
I like the fact, like I some things I started learning right away was like, oh, my archer is they can fight 2 blocks away.
Mhm.
This character has an area of where they can they fight in more of a circular pattern, whereas somebody else may only be able to fight forward and backwards. So there's so much variety in this strategy role playing game. No random encounters. Now this first one is set up in chapters, so you kind of have to follow the story. So you go to this mission, and you just kind of reveal the story, trying to get to the end, which is fine. They changed that a good bit in the Shining Force 2, where you kind of can choose a little bit, but you do get in places where it's like, uh-oh, the door shut behind me, looks like I'm in a fight, egress.
Do
Egress.
you think is this kind of a series you might return to later? And
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm probably going to return to it this week.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be a problem.
It sticks out. It sticks out. One of our. I honestly, of all the games we've covered on this show, it's definitely one of my favorites, and it's weird because it's almost the only Genesis game on that list. That's not entirely true, but everything we've covered, I guess.
You know how excited like random encounters are hit or miss for me. So like when I'm playing stuff like Pokemon, and it's like, oh, but every time when the battle scenes happen with Pokemon, it always seems exhilarating and exciting, even if it's annoying. It's like, oh, I can't believe I got to do another stupid battle, but it always seems exciting. This game also has that, where the battles, instead of just being a couple of rando characters on screen, you get this really cool. It's still just pixel graphics and stuff, but you're kind of almost third person behind your character. You can see their weapons, and if they have a cape or whatever, it'll be flapping in the wind, and it's just so much love and energy going on. And you'll attack the enemy, and it'll show like a big hit and everything. It's very cinematic, and is constantly changing the backgrounds based on the location the battle is taking place. Kind of immersive in that way, even though it's in a very simple manner. But
I'd argue more immersive than most Genesis games. The problem I have with Genesis in retrospect, at the time I thought it was great, because I was like, yeah, screw these guys. Yeah, these guys know what they're doing. They're making a cool game. It's for me, right? But I think that the difference here is that there's depth here. It isn't just blast processing or whatever bullshit we're trying to tell each other is true, which isn't.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like it's not just that in this case. It's more than that. And I really respect that. I think that's something that makes this series great. It's what makes all great games, especially RPGs, tactical or otherwise, that have a bunch of, great stuff in them. You want them to be thick and rich and deep, and like, I'm going to come back to this. This can take me a lot more than just a couple hours. Like, that's what you want out of this. And this was Sega's chance, man. They freaking blew it. Blew it.
I would argue that they succeeded in what they were doing
to a degree,
but they did fail in carrying it forward, right?
Yeah, they succeeded to a degree, to a point.
Yeah.
But I say
making mistakes afterwards, though, I suppose, right? They kept trying to like either do a remake, or they kept trying to fall back. It's like, hey, we should really try to exploit that Shining in the Darkness stuff where we have that dungeon crawling, and we'll just bring it to a new platform. It's like, no. Shining Force has proven that it is the best SRPG that fits in with the story you're telling and the gameplay that you're trying to give me. You should just stick with that and stop all this experiment bullshit.
Yeah. Quit it. But this happens with everybody, right? All these games tend to have a history like where they started to meddle in things they shouldn't with the game type or whatever. One good example of that is, what is it? We've done the game here.
Secret of Mana?
No. The other, can't think of it. I still have
the thing
COVID
with the
brain.
COVID brain.
COVID brain, that game. The one with the COVID brain. I can't think of it. But anyway, the sequel on the PlayStation was not what anybody wanted.
Yeah.
Chat room, or someone's going to say this.
It was hard because we were going in anytime 3D really ruined a lot of great franchises.
It definitely messed with them, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, it really screwed up a lot of franchises that didn't know whether or not it was going to work in 3D, and a lot of it didn't work. And going back and seeing the Sega Saturn, some of the most excellent titles of side-scrolling fighting and stuff is on the Sega Saturn. When everything else was right in the middle of doing 3D, they were still they recognized in some ways, and they had some success in Japan too. By the way, we always forget that the Sega Saturn had success in Japan. Not as much in the US, but it was fairly successful.
Yeah.
And going back and looking at some of those titles are amazing. Even the 3D stuff that's kind of wonky can still be pretty impressive. Like the Holy Ark, Shining the Holy Ark. I don't know what the hell I was looking at.
Yeah.
But it had a different flavor than anything I've ever seen before and anything I've seen since. And it's kind of the same thing how I feel about the now I'm gonna do COVID brain.
It's your turn.
You remember the guy? Remember there was supposed the Sonic team, instead of making Sonic, they made it Nights into Dreams.
Oh, Nights into Dreams, sure.
Right. So that game is so wholly unique.
Oh, I love Nights into Dreams. That was awesome.
I just get this feeling in my, I'm like, it just feels so amazing. Even though I have no nostalgia for it because I didn't play it back in the day.
Yeah, it's a strong contender for
swells up.
Yeah, there was and everybody really thought that was a moment where they were like, "Oh, the Saturn's back, baby! They got this weird controller. They got this game. Everybody wants to play. It's from the Sonic people." We all lost our minds, and then when we finally got our hands on it, we went, "This is awesome." Now, what will they do to keep the momentum? Right. And then you realize, oh, nothing. It's just they're gonna just shit the bed and then wait for another console generation and try to do it again, and then shit that bed.
Yeah, they did it twice, man. They it was all about timing for Sega during that time. That was the other thing that really destroyed Sega. I didn't mean this to become the what happened to Sega, but
it's hard not to when you talk about their big titles like this, though. It's kind of impossible not to.
It really is. And but you know what? I'm glad, because now I get to go back and eat all these tasty morsels of Shining Force. I picked up that you can play this many ways. You can do it through emulation if you're hard-headed like me. You can do it on real hardware, even more hard-headed. Or you can just they got it on the iOS. You can play the first three.
Aren't those supposed to be kind of
darkness?
Aren't those supposed to be really bad versions though? Or maybe I heard something?
It's fine.
They're okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine unless I didn't have any trouble. I played back through several levels just to see if it would be similar to my gameplay. And it's fine because it's on a mobile device, but there's nothing, there's no quick twitch or anything. You're selecting things. You're moving from this location to that location, and then selecting your chooser. That's it. You're just doing it's clicking.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good
made for.
That's a good it's a good fit for these kinds of games. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's just that usually what happens with those, it's like, oh, they put out a remake of that in 2010 and they've never updated it, so it won't run on modern phones or whatever. I
don't think it's a remake at all. I think this is just a real thing. I don't think there's like any upgraded graphics or anything. And they're like, it's more like the Sega Genesis collections where it's just like, hey, here's the game in a ROM form. And just like you remember, because we didn't do shit. We're just selling it again. Come on.
Yeah.
I think it was.
You want to spend some money? We have a way.
I'll tell you why people may hate it is because they pretend like you can have it for free, of course.
Yeah.
But it's ad driven. You do not want to play this game with the ad driven crap.
That's what
makes me so mad.
Oh my gosh.
And all that, I did try it before I purchased it just to see. I was like, let me check to see if it's any good or not. And I did try it with the ads. And look, I'm fine if your game wants to have ads, but if you're gonna have the ad run through, don't make the little X smaller than a pinhead in the corner. All right, I watched your damn ad. Just let me close it comfortably.
Yeah.
Don't have it so small, because I know what you're hoping is that I'll accidentally fat finger it over onto the click on it, and then the app will launch, because that's exactly what happens.
You know what's funny? One of my favorite things I've ever seen. Somebody had an image of what looked like a planet. Oh, that's what it was. It was like Jupiter. Right. A big giant curve of Jupiter, and then right there under Jupiter, right underneath it, is this little speck, and it's like Jupiter, one of Jupiter's moons. Right. And then it says in an alternate description, it says "my finger," and the ad close ad button on your average mobile ad
button.
Yeah,
true story.
It's pretty dead on.
True story. Jesus.
Freaking.
And I'm like, come
on.
I'm fine with if I don't mind watching ads if that's how I want to do it. But just let me exit out of the ad gracefully so that I can get back to the game.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
I don't think that's too much to ask. I think that's too little to ask. I think we should ask more than that.
Right. But then if you buy
yeah.
it, it's like I think it's like $5 for all 3 games, or you can buy it on Steam for 99 cents a piece, I think, or something like that. But yeah, there's plenty of ways to play Shining Force, and gives Sega some money that they should be working harder for.
Well, you know what? You know what's pretty good is those Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, and
Oh yeah.
I kind of wish this was a little bit closer to that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would definitely take a better version of this,
Yeah,
a better version of any of this stuff.
yeah, right. Like I
Yeah.
don't think it's I don't think it's too much to ask. I think they could probably.
I would be a little, but I'll be honest with you. If you're not going to give me just more great pixel art, because the pixel art is so fun in this. I love the characters, the character designs. Remind me of Saturday morning cartoons, especially the second one. I feel like, am I watching Gummy Bears? Am I watching the Smurfs?
Yeah.
Am I, it's like it all feels very Saturday morning animated, but in pixel art.
Oh yeah, for
And,
sure.
yeah.
It's the characters are much less. They're not trying to make serious looking characters. They're kind of chibi,
No.
and a
Yeah.
little bit goofy.
Yeah.
The story can get kind of dark, but the art is very inviting. It's kind of all ages kind of affair. It's good stuff. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it gets very dark when you start talking about the dark dragon and his evil army.
Yeah, right. They're evil, and he's unhappy Santa Claus who can't get the lights on. So
Some happy Santa Claus. I did enjoy that part. In the second one, trying to take care of the king, and it is silly because they try to make it more animated than it really is necessary.
yeah,
Like they always tried. Like some games, they ask you to use your imagination, and here they don't necessarily ask you to use your imagination, especially in the second one. Like there's a part where the what's his name? I forget it. The wizard, the Gandalf.
the Gandalf looking guy. He's on screen right now.
Gandalf looking guy. Yeah, he gets knocked over, and they look like chess pieces, right? Well, this makes sense because it's a grid-based game, right? So there's like chess pieces. They just fall over and they're just stiff.
Yeah, yeah. That's basically it. Yeah.
And another thing too is the animation really kills me because we got the bouncing animation. This is something we did during this time where you didn't want your character to look static, flat, dead.
Yeah,
so
they kind of they sit in chairs and move. That's weird.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Like the king, when he is like when the king is like possessed, he's in his bed and you're supposed to go check on him. He's like, he's like supposed to be all sick in the bed, and he's in there and he's still walking in the bed because they didn't really change the sprite, right?
Yeah.
He's just in the bed with the bed covers overlaying the sprite animation, and it's just like, okay,
Yep.
I guess it's the best we could do.
It's the best we had, man.
It's the best we could do.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do?
Enjoy.
You gonna hire some real artists? No.
Right. No.
I mean, that is true.
Megabytes.
A lot of these games were. They want the sprites not to look static. They just kind of, they're always
and
moving.
It's true. If you ever play an indie game that is kind of like trying to throw back to this, and they kind of miss that point, and you see and you it feels unfinished.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this character is not moving. Why is this? They're just standing there
Yeah.
waiting for me to activate him. Where's his chess?
Yeah, having him move just makes it seem alive. Fire Emblem did the exact same thing. Is that people would be like two little frames of animation where they're standing out in the battlefield moving. It's fine.
The other thing, visually speaking, as well, especially on this second one, is it is such a the horizon line, because it's kind of top down for the most part. Of course, the characters, when they're kind of like tilted.
Yeah.
Zelda style, right?
You don't mean they're tilted like in they're losing a League of Legends match and they're pissed, not that kind of tilted.
No, not that kind of tilted.
Okay, good.
But there's multiple levels in certain scenes or screens where you may need to go up some stairs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just represented by some small stairs. But there's a couple places in this game where there's like a really tall set of stairs so you can get up to another area. And it's so slanted. It's weird, but it also it makes it more fantastical to me for some reason.
Interesting.
I can't quite explain it.
That's interesting. I get it. In fact, I totally get it. Well, I was going to add something to that. I forgot what it was. Yeah, graphically speaking, I had something to add to that. What was I going to say? It was
that you like having to turn to the priest so that you can resurrect your fallen comrades and do your saving states? Is that
No, but I like it.
favorite?
Let's talk about that. I do like that. The game is, whoops, the video ended. The game is less oppressive than other
Right.
games like it. It's a little
Right.
less, there's some grinding, but it's not, you don't feel like when something dies, it's the end of the world.
Unless it's Max or
Unless it's
Bowie,
Bowie.
your primary character you're playing as,
Freaking
right?
David Bowie
Then-
out there.
Yeah, David Bowie, Stardust.
Yep.
But other than that,
you
you're right.
should name
So
him Ziggy. That's the way you do it. It's normally
Ziggy.
Bowie, just name it Ziggy. Yeah.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, primarily is the primary character that you're playing as, whether it be in the first one Max or in the second one Bowie. As long as that character does not become exhausted, because you don't die, you just get exhausted, and you have to go back to town and last town you were in, and get back out there, buddy. Get back out there.
Get out there and get that fight going. Don't be sitting
right.
around, lazy ass.
But as far as your other characters go, they pretty much can become exhausted, no big deal. Typically what I've found is that there's a lot of stats going on in the background, and it's actually pretty easy to determine when you go into a battle which characters the enemy is going to go after. As a matter of fact, if those particular characters that you're playing in your force is the ones you know that are going to be attacked, sometimes it's like one or two.
Yeah.
If you just keep those guys in the back and you rush forward with the rest of them, the enemy won't even move. They'll kind of hold position. Now it changes as you go along, gets a little more difficult, but in the beginning, it's a pretty good strategy, because I wiped several times when I first started playing, because I was like, time to take my hero into the fore. If he's got to lead the way, and that didn't work out well.
It didn't work out so well.
Didn't work out. So you have to kind of keep that guy back there. So here comes the strategy and the tactics to these types of games. Specifically Shining Force, you keep your primary guy back in the back for a little bit, and you wear him down with your little guys, right?
Yeah.
And then you maybe your healer also has some, or maybe one of your magic casters can cast some blaze, burn up the bad guys a little bit, knock the damage, knock them down a little bit, and then you come in with your hero guy and go, "Hi-yah!" And you come in and you get the XP points and you upgrade them.
Yeah, you're basically describing why the genre is so great.
It's
an amazing, it's an amazing time.
Yeah, it's a fun time.
Well, you guys should all be playing it. It's available to all the ways that we mentioned, and if you want to, emulate it, you're certainly allowed to. Are you? Maybe you are. I don't know.
Are you? Did you play Shining in the Darkness at all? The first one from 1991.
Never did.
You didn't have to. I'll tell you about it though. It's a first-person dungeon crawler, set in the same universe. And
it's like one step at a time
strategy,
thing, right? It's not like real-time movement in that dungeon.
No, So it's like, okay, so in the Shining in the Darkness, you really feel like, oh yeah, I'm on a Genesis. They don't have 3D components, so it's very much of that dungeon crawler where it's like, it's first person, and you're just in a corridor, and you move forward. You press forward and you walk 6 steps and you stop. You have to turn and you walk through the maze, because that's what you're doing. You're walking through a maze.
Oh, I take it back. I did play this and I forgot they were connected at all.
Yeah.
I did play this. Yeah, it's interesting. I played this in emulation here recently is how I played it. I didn't know it was even connected to the series. Crazy.
Yeah. And here you just have the 3 characters, so it's not really like Shining Force. It's more like your typical RPG where it's like you got a group of adventurers, a couple of them. You can go to the bars. This one's actually pretty funny. Now, you want to talk about looking like a Saturday morning cartoon. This one looks more like a Saturday morning cartoon. When you hit, other than the fact that you're hitting a bar, you'll go in there and there's all kinds of interesting characters that eventually you'll get to talk to in the tavern. Very off the wall characters that you get to join your team. And I didn't play a ton of this because it was just annoying me to go through the dungeon crawling, because it's like, oh, did I already go down this path? Oh, this is stupid. I want to fight something. Oh, it's a slime. Finally I get to fight some slimes. Sweet.
Yeah.
Or ooze. Or oozes.
Ooze slime.
Yeah.
Wait, my phone, my thing went mute. No, it's not. I got to get a new mute switch. This thing sucks ass.
No, that's okay. While you're sucking ass, just like in all these Shining games, you upgrade your weapons.
Yeah.
You're earning gold as along the way. You're killing your other characters. Same with Shining in the Darkness. You just go in, you buy your weapons, upgrade your weapons, and you head back out. You head to town.
I'd even be happy if this was something I could get in a modern way. I like these kinds of games. You know,
it's so silly looking, but it's so fun to look at.
Yeah, it's funny they use that same battle grid where you choose your action. They use that same thing in the other games. It's crazy.
Yeah, the actual HUD itself, like how you control what the character does, which crack me up. I love it. You know, in a lot of these games, you will just like you agree, don't agree, but in here, in case you're stupid and don't understand that you're agreeing or disagreeing, you actually have the character is like got an animation of shaking their head yes or shaking their head no, which is really good because, you know, don't have to have there's no language barrier. A universal sign for yeah, let's do it is yes, up and down or side to side. No way. Forget it.
Yeah, forget. Yeah. That's the universal sign for that. Fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good series, you guys. You'll find yourselves getting hooked in, even if you're like, ooh, does this hold up? I think it does.
Yeah. And we didn't even get into talking about all the missed out. I apologize. I was so excited about the gameplay. I missed all the history, talking about the two brothers who were really influential here, Climax Entertainment and Sonic Software Planning. By the way, Sonic Software Planning.
Yeah.
Worst business name ever.
I have that here somewhere. Hold on.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Sonic. Here we go. No, that's the coin. Hold on. No. Where is this? No, where is it? I have something. Oh, did I get rid of it? I might have moved it, but I have one where the lady says it. She goes, Sonic Software Planning. That's a terrible name. Awful.
I know it. Right. And Takahashi, the brothers were co-founders of Camelot Software Planning, which I believe either became Sonic Software Planning or vice versa. But yeah, so I mean, there's a whole bunch of interviews with people, and I need to do like follow-ups to every one of these episodes where I'm like, hey, here's all the crap we didn't get to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knowledge dump.
Yep, for sure. Check
the Sega Genesis has blast processing. Super Nintendo doesn't.
That's horseshit. You were too busy worried about your dumb marketing campaign and not enough on your badass video game. It's terrible.
Oh, I forgot to mention yogurt.
Oh, tell me. Well, look, I always forget the yogurt. So go ahead. What about the yogurt?
So yogurt is important because he's like one of the worst things in the game. So
there's a character named Yogurt. Hold on, I don't remember this.
Yeah,
go ahead.
He's kind of is he like a beaver with a helmet?
Sure.
He's some kind of animal. Anyway, you typically team up with your heroes in cities, right?
Yeah,
in towns.
Sure.
You recruit new people, but a few of them you can get out in the wilderness when you're in the overworld. Right. And one of the first places you go to, you get into a battle. And if you step out of the battle, you can then walk over to a little house, and there's a character there that is worthy of joining the group. And then there is a character there. This name is Yogurt.
Really?
And
that's fantastic. Love it.
I'm not sure exactly how to unlock Yogurt. I'm assuming I have to go find some granolas. But I know that some people find him kind of the Jar Jar Binks of the series, and I don't know why yet. I'm still playing this game. I'm still very early on the story.
Yeah.
But there's a helmeted creature. Maybe it's a beaver, I think. Yeah, they think the chat room just clued me in. He's the classic helmeted beaver. Yogurt. Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how you do with the beavers.
I don't know what he's doing there.
Yeah.
But I got to unlock it.
Well, maybe it was I don't know. You always, like I was talking to somebody the other day, John or whatever, about animes always have the dirty old man. Maybe
that's a lot of dirty old men in this game.
This game too, yeah. It's a trope that isn't just anime. It's like a bunch of stuff.
Right. Apparently, seriously though, the character is kind of like a little, not really an Easter egg, but somewhat is the Yogurt's face is based on the game's director, Kenji Orimo.
And does he have a particularly
beaver face? I guess so. Right?
Yeah. Okay. I was curious about
inside jokes. I don't know why he's got to wear a helmet unless they're worried about him hitting his head, but I guess so.
Well, look, when your name is Yogurt, it must be good.
Or Jogurt.
Jogurt. I don't know why I find that so funny, but
yeah.
Well done, Jogurt, and may all your yogurts be Greek or something.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a game we made of our own. All right, we call this game. We even have a name for this game. It's called Guess My Game. Oh, I don't know because I moved. I was looking for that Sonic software planning, and I lost my place. So now I'll play it here.
Welcome.
Whoop, wrong one here.
Destroy it.
Damn, I'm hitting for 1,000 here. This is where we take some audio from an old game and we give you the platform and year, or that is to say we give each other that, and we try to guess what it is. Here's the fun part. Nobody really wins anything except bragging rights that Brian sucks and I win, for example.
Oh, well, hey.
Not that that's how this will go, but you just never know until we get there.
That's one outcome.
Yeah, it's one possible, not even probable outcome, but it is definitely possible.
Yeah.
So as a result, let me dive right in. Oh, I don't think you put a year on yours, did you, by the way?
Yeah, of course I did.
Oh, you must have added it because yes, wasn't
Of course I do.
Oh. Are you adding it now? You are adding it now, aren't you?
No, I've added it
okay,
a couple of days ago.
All right, let's get to it. Here is mine. This is the DOS platform. That is to say, early DOS PC stuff. And the year is 1996, Brian.
That's it. We should have 95 by now. Okay, yeah, we're playing DOS. Okay.
All right. That's all you're getting. Here is your sound to see whether it is the sound of silence. Hold on. What's going on here?
It's the sound.
Here it is.
Science.
I found it for real. Here we go.
My father died 6 months ago. Since he and my mother divorced, we'd had our problems. I hadn't seen him as often as I'd meant to. You know how it is. You think you've got all the time in the world to sort things out. There's always something else to be doing. You'll call him next week. Then the letter from the lawyers, and suddenly it's all too late.
All right, that gives you a pretty good taste of this guy.
Yeah, that's pretty tasty. That's some good audio work there. Nice.
It's not bad
nice
for 96,
yeah.
and it'll also probably give you a decent hint as to the kind of game this is. So
right.
Let's see how you do. Here are your options: A, Mysteria: The Realms of Lore.
Oh.
B, Realms of the Haunting. Got 2 realms today.
Right.
C, The Time Void Chronicles.
Okay.
Or D, Within Dreams. And these are all real games. None of these are made up.
Real games.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So again,
Mysteria,
is that
the Realms of Lore sounds like a bunch of bull.
Really? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yep. The fact that you put the Realms of the Haunting, maybe he feels haunted, maybe not. C, the Time Void Chronicles, or D, Within Dreams.
Yeah.
Now, it kind of sounded like he was sitting in like an old school car.
Oh,
like maybe
weird.
Right.
Okay. I like it.
Maybe not. Maybe it's like he was sitting in a T model or something.
I mean, sure. Okay.
Maybe.
All
maybe.
Right. Okay.
So you know what? I'm going to see my way clear to making it the Time Void Chronicles. What do you think?
Time Void Chronicles is your guess. Let's find out if that is correct or not. That is incorrect.
Oh.
You were so close to maybe nabbing it. It is B, Realms of the Haunting.
I should have known he was haunted.
Yeah. Now, if you've probably never heard of this game. I hadn't either, so I was trying to find something kind of weird. It's one of these it's like first-person shooter style, and it reminded me of like Wolfenstein or Doom even.
Oh.
So pixelated stuff, but 3D. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real time. But then when you do like puzzles and stuff, it's all very much like point and click kind of Myst style.
Smart.
Yeah. It was fun game, if I remember right.
Man,
I'd played this game a little bit way back in the day, didn't know what I was playing. And so I have no real experience with it. It's new to me. But I played it. I played like a demo or something. In fact, I may have played a shareware version of this is what I did. Can't remember.
You know what you can do now? They can go to Good Old Games and buy it for 74 cents because it's on sale right now for 75% off.
No way. I didn't even know I was coinciding this with
look at that.
With a sale.
Yeah. Looks like it's got some great FMV stuff too.
Well, F and V, baby.
FMV, full motion.
I always like that. It sounds like you're saying F and V, like
video.
FMVs. F and V. Jeez.
FMV.
They say to Veronica when you're mad at her. All right. Well done. Not that I'm ever mad at her. Let's get to yours. I see here the Super Nintendo and the 1992 is the year. Anything else I need to know before I play this?
No, let's play some clips because it's this, like you said, Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, 1992.
Excellent. Let me hit play on it if I can find the right tag. There we go. Getting like a Castlevania vibe. Okay, give me some options.
So we got A, Illusions of Gaia, or B, Soul Blazer, or C, Act Razor, or D, EVO, Search for Eden. There's no question mark at the end of that, Search for Eden, but I thought I'd add it in there. Search for Eden.
Search for Eden. I don't think it's Illusion of Gaia. Oh, it's familiar. I don't think it's Soul Blazer, and I don't think it's Act Razor. I think it's between D and A.
DNA. You heard Scott right here. DNA, ribonucleic acid, RNA.
I'm gonna go with Illusion of Illusion of Gaia.
Illusion of Gaia. Scott, give yourself a.
Damn it! Which one? Okay, let me guess the second, just so I don't get anything.
All right.
Soul Blazer.
Soul Blazer would give you the ding, 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 ding.
Dang it!
Yes.
All right, should have gone with
Soul
my gut.
Blazer.
That is, boy, I haven't heard that name in a while. You played Soul Blazer lately? I wonder if that holds up. Is that a good game now?
I don't know, but in my little search this week, I saw Soul Blazer, and I'm like, oh, this looks sexy. It's action role-playing game. So.
Yeah, I remember this now. Oh, yeah. It was action-based, though, not turn-based.
Yeah, it was action-based. No.
Who made this? This is...
little top-down stuff. Then the battles were really kind of wicked cool. You'd be in, like, down at the bottom of the screen, and the baddie guy being at the top, always bigger than you.
Yeah. This is an Enix game before they joined forces with Square.
They got squarish.
Yeah, before they got all square. But they put an Enix-shaped peg into a square-based hole. All right, well done. You rocked my world today, and
we both losers then.
Yeah, we're both losers. What are you gonna?
But we're both winners too because we both stumped each other. So
that's right. Time to welcome somebody to Retro. Now, if you can believe it, Sly 2: Band of Thieves came out September 8th, 2004. PlayStation 2, second entry in the Sly Cooper series. Amazing game, and they got even better. And it would start to send Sucker Punch on their way to being one of the best developers in PlayStation history.
I never played much Sly back in the day, but last year I did start taking a look at the first one, and I was intrigued instantly, and I would like to run through the whole series eventually.
I would too. September 8th, 2004 is the 20th anniversary, and we would like to congratulate them and welcome them. As we also listen to texts and calls. Oh, look at this! Jamie wrote into our email address, playretroshow@gmail.com, and says, hey, Retroheads, you guys talked about the rules around saying Beetlejuice 3 times. How long between words is allowed? The producers on Community included a Beetlejuice Easter egg that played out as follows. Beetlejuice was said on the Season 1, Episode 16, Communication Studies. It was also said a second time on Season 2, Episode 8, Cooperative Calligraphy. It was then uttered a third time on Season 3, Episode 5, Horror Fiction and 7 Spooky Steps. And you can see Beetlejuice walk past the frame in the background. Love you guys. Love what you do. Smack Talk. Thanks, Jamie.
Smack Talk.
Sure enough, and there's video of this, so you can go find a short clip that is basically all three of these Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 combined into one, and then you do see Beetlejuice walk in the background. It's not Michael Keaton. It's just some dude in a suit.
No, I checked it out, Jamie. And Episode 5, How Perfect, Horror Fiction in 7 Spooky Steps. So we got the payoff in Season 3 during a Halloween type episode. It's very fast. You would miss it because he's basically outside one of the conference rooms or something.
Yeah.
He just flies on by.
That's amazing. It's an amazing
Yeah.
thing to do in your show.
Yeah. But so they thought no one would ever notice.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Notice.
Super into it. All right, some quick retro report reminders. At retrogib.com, you'll find things like the Roller Coaster Tycoon server, Unreal Tournament 99 and 04 servers, and all our retro achievements info. So if you are into that stuff and want to know more and want to play with some fellow retro heads, retrogib.com has all your details.
I'm with it.
You are with it. You're like the most with it I know.
Yeah.
Our next discussion / game is going to be Super Mario Brothers 2 and how it was really Doki Doki Panic, and they reskinned it into a different game. It's a weird ass game, dude. If you just look at it like from the surface, it's weird. It's weird without knowing the story, because it's like, oh, he's pulling up turnips and throwing them. Like the mechanics go way off the charts in terms of a Mario game. And I remember at the time going, why? What is happening? Why did they go this way? And then you find out the story behind all of this, which many of you are familiar with, but we're going to retread it and talk about Doki Doki Panic, its conversion to Super Mario Brothers 2, and how no one thinks about 2 anymore. They think about Birdo. Birdo's cool. They think about, there's some things about 2 that I like, but 2 ain't a proper Mario game. We're going to get into it.
Yeah, and I never understood why I felt that way. I knew something weird was going on when I played Super Mario Brothers 2. And I only knew that there was some things going on with it. But then I did a little deeper dive this last week, and I haven't really played Doki Doki Panic before. And I did not realize that Japan got the proper Super Mario Brothers 2 called The Lost Levels, which we did eventually get. But now I'm like, oh my God, maybe I need to replay through the series and get the real picture.
When did we get we got Lost Levels in Super Nintendo, right? That's when they finally put that out.
Yeah, I believe that's right. And so it's like, and then I started reading also that the Japanese didn't think we could handle it, Scott.
Jerks.
And I want to play the Super Mario Brothers, The Lost Levels, to see just how hard they thought this game was. I want to prove to them that I'm no wuss.
No, I already know you're not, but you need to prove it to them. All right?
Right.
Forget about me and what we think.
Take that, 40-year-old slight?
Yeah, take that.
30-year-old slight?
That's a long-ass slight.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we are going to be talking about all things Super Mario Brothers 2 next week, so check that out. Big also welcome to Doodoo Pie, our newest patron. Yeah, patreon.com/playretro. Doodoo Pie joined us there because he likes the idea of no commercials or ads. He loves pre-show content every week. And guess what else he loves? Many other things that we post on the Patreon. How else is he going to get those? The answer is no other way. So sign up. Patreon.com/playretro and be a part of the larger Play Retro community today. Now,
boy, we had a massive pre-show content, exclusively part of it for the patrons for sure, because we forgot to start the YouTube feed.
Yeah. So that's fine, though.
It might have been. Yeah, but it's good.
Make sure you listen to the audio. Exactly. And then I'm hoping next week when we do a new show that we'll have some time for another X-Men. I think it's time. So we're going to plan on that.
X-Men. To me, my X-Men.
Anyway, that'll be next week. And we'll be back here next week. Find all the details at frogpants.com/playretro. And you'll find a link to everything that matters there. That's going to do it for us. Brian, any final words before we go?
Absolutely. Look, I got the last Game Informer, but I also found this Game Informer from 2008.
Jeez.
Is that old?
That's pretty old.
It's not new, I'll tell you that. Prince of Persia, Resident Evil 5.
Guitar Hero 4? Interesting.
Yeah, Guitar Hero 4. Drums, vocals, create your own songs. How Neversoft is changing music games forever.
Uh-huh.
But did they?
No. Basically, we're done with plastic instrument games. We're done. They're out.
We'll see.
Maybe they'll make a comeback. I don't know. Well, that'll do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Go play something retro. We'll see you next week.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Shining Force 2.
Shining Force 2.